Hello, Bridge Builders! I'm here with some exciting news. The first volume of interviews is now available on Amazon.com. The link can be found at EatLunchandBoardGame.com. I promise that all proceeds from sales of this book will go right back into this podcast and channel. Whether that is new and better audio equipment for the podcast or video equipment for the YouTube channel, or even more games to review, the money will not be wasted. Click over to Amazon and get your copy of Eat Lunch and Board Game The First Course today. And thank you for supporting the show. Welcome back to Eat Lunch and Board Game. I'm your host, Adam Collins. And with me today is elementary school principal and fellow St. Louis game designer, Aaron Wills. Aaron, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here. What an honor to get to join you on the podcast.
Oh man, we've been trying, but you took a vacation, then I took a vacation, and now we're out of vacation, so
we're out of vacations, back to work, back to podcasting.
Absolutely. So Aaron is the designer of Dice Fight Chicken Edition, one of my son's favorite games to play, and frequently sees plenty of table time. And you've also got, the original game, which was 16 Chickens Dice Fight to the Death.
That's right.
And then you also did a Roll and Write, which I have not yet played. Again, I don't remember what that one's called. What's that one called?
It's in the Dice Fight family, so I call it Dice Fight Ready to Roll. Yeah, it has similar mechanics. A very different game, but a similar mechanic of rolling dice and then playing cards to change the outcome of the roll. So that's what I call a dice fight, where you just roll some dice and then you can play action cards to change the outcome of the roll. So it's similar. It's a fun game. The Roll and Write has been pretty well received, so that's been a good time.
Roll and Writes are great. I think they're underappreciated for sure.
Well, they kind of got pretty popular there for a while ago. So actually, there was a game design contest for Roll and Write games. So that's when I thought, I'm not going to make a Roll and Write game. And then I just started thinking about my game and thought, well, you know what? This actually could translate to one Roll and Write, and changed it up quite a bit. But it turned out really good. I think it's a lot of fun. So I've been kind of pitching that game around and entering in some contests and then just to see where it goes.
Excellent. I'm going to have to definitely play it next time we see each other in person, which might be soon. I think our local game shop started to let events happen on a small basis. So
it did. So our game. Well, we got together just last weekend and we missed you.
Yeah, I was on vacation and I happened to check Facebook and there it was. I'm like, obviously,
It was so good to be back in person just with the other game designers, because we've met online a few times. I know you joined us there, but it's just not the same as getting to put games on the table and play with each other. So it was so nice to get back to that. So I really enjoyed it.
I bet it, all this push to go to Tabletopia and Steam and Table whatever they've got going, Tabletop Simulator,
right?
And it's like it kind of doesn't feel the same. I like to feel the dice. I like to feel the cards and move the minis and the tokens. And so
I agree. We've been very fortunate with Zoom and all the different technologies that there are to get us through the last year and a half. But in most cases, let's get back to in person, right?
I could not agree more.
Yeah.
So how did you get into gaming?
Well, we've always played games in my family growing up, even back in the 70s and 80s. We only played the old, classics, because I guess maybe that's all there were back then. Yahtzee and, of course, Monopoly and Sorry and Trouble and Chutes and Ladders, Candyland, the little kid games, Hungry Hip, all those games. So we had them all on our shelf at our house. So we always played games in those back in the day. And then I guess I probably didn't play for quite a while through college and maybe early adulthood. And then had kids again. We got all the family games out, and then ran into some other friends who played some of the more modern games and got into those a little bit as well. I truly, though, maybe because I work with kids all day, every day, I play more family games than anything else. I guess I've always been kind of a kid-centered person. So I don't know all the big heavy games as well as I know the little light games that are just fun. The ones that most game players, strategy game players, roll their eyes at and say, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding? I'd never play that." Oh, those are my games right
No,
there.
I mean that's like what I do. I mean, my podcast is all about gaming at lunch. You're not going to get a real big heavy Euro in at lunch. Uh, I play a lot of the lighter games. The half hour, 30-minute games. I mean, you get some pretty heavy games in there in 30 to
Yep.
30 minutes to an hour, but
Yeah.
maybe not. You're not going to throw down like a big heavy terraforming Mars or something for sure.
Right. So yeah. So anyway, we played growing up, then we got into those, and one day I was over a winter break. We were off work, so my kids were home. They're probably teenagers or even college at the time, and we just played some games one night. And I think we had played Exploding Kittens, and we played Sushi Go. We played maybe one or two others, just light games like that. And I was just thinking, man, these are really good games. I said, but like Exploding Kittens, it's just missing. And I tried to put my finger on like, what's it missing though? So I came up with what was missing for me. And I thought that Sushi Go, that's really fun. Like what is it that makes that so fun? Why am I enjoying this game so much? And I just started kind of thinking back over all the games that I've played, and trying to think what is it that's either kind of a little bit of a turn off, or what is it that really makes what's the fun, exciting part of that game. And I kind of just started in my head putting a new game together. I thought I'm going to take the best elements of all these different things that I know, and totally created something new. And that's where like, if you asked, where'd you start in game design? Well, it was right there, just kind of evaluating other games that I'd played, and I said, yeah, I bet I could make a game that has all these good components to it. And so that's where 16 Chickens Dice Fight to the Death was born. And that day I drew it up, and then spent about a year just revising it. So, so many times we just get our curiosity gets piqued by something we see and we encounter. And if you're a design thinker and you're a maker kind of person, you just kind of go from there. And that's where I got into game design, and just have loved learning so much about it from people like you, Adam, and a lot of the other designers in our group and all the Facebook groups online. It's just such a neat community.
It certainly is, and very open and very willing to help anybody and everybody. You want to get into game design. Like you said, there's Facebook groups. There's probably a local game design group wherever you are. We are very fortunate to have a really good one, really big and strong one here in St. Louis. And it's like it's great that we're gonna be able to get back together. We've had a couple of our designers hit it big in the
I tell you
last
what, we
6
just
months.
at the last meeting, not we were kind of just reviewing some things that people have been working on through the pandemic while we were all away, and all of a sudden you look down at the table and what's on the table, and like, holy cow! I mean, Honey Buzz is sitting on the table. That's one of the biggest successes in the last couple of years, and everybody wants to get their hands on it. It's so popular, and there it is, right? We were play testing the expansion for Honey Buzz, and and we looked at some of the other ones. Grease Lightning is coming out.
Grease Lightning.
By Wizkids. How many times did we play that game in prototype?
Oh man!
And here it comes, and it's already sold out in many
I
advanced
know.
pre-orders. I mean, and
You can't even pre-order it. They've sold out the pre-order.
it's
That's
great.
ridiculous.
Mechanical Beast just finished a Kickstarter.
Yep.
That's men's game, and had a real successful Kickstart there. And there was another game that just had a successful Kickstarter with over 100 backers. So it is. There are. I really feel like St. Louis is just kind of a powerhouse. I don't mean to boast on us, but there are some really successful designs coming out of our little group that meets on
Yeah.
Wednesdays and Sundays every now and then.
Oh man, yeah, and yeah, I remember playing Grease Lightning. I don't even remember what he called it back then. It was like the pizza racing game.
There's that, and then, it is like slices of the pizza
Yeah,
on the board, and the board changes as you race around and chase after people. And I think it was a space game, had rockets,
Yeah.
and then the publisher picked it up and turned it into went with ancient Greece theme, and it's a great game. I can't
It
wait.
looks great. Yeah, I
my
can't
copy.
wait to get my own copy of it. I need I need to get it. I'm like, I played this game before it was Grease Lightning.
Yeah, so that's a Mark Sellemeyer and Kathleen Mercury game, and they collaborated on that and came up with a good one.
That's a good one for sure. So, what is your current favorite game? What game is out on your table right now?
Well, let's see. literally on my table right now is a game called Spirits of the Wild, which is kind of a lesser known game. Most people don't know it. It's one of those that you can get like at Target. And I'll just be honest with you. Someone gave me that game as a gift, and they actually gave me like 3 games one year. I think it was my birthday or Christmas, and all 3 games. I'm like, and the person who gave it to me is kind of a bargain shopper type of person. She would just go find whatever's on sale or in the throwaway bin or something. And so, I mean, she's a great shopper. It's a great skill she has. And so all these games, I'm thinking, these are probably just like the games that nobody was buying, so they were on the clearance rack or something. So it took me forever before I ever opened them up. But Spirits of the Wild is a really fun two-part game. I couldn't believe it. Since then, I've seen some buzz online about other people who have it. Very few people have it. I think it was one of those Target exclusive kind of games that not everybody knows about. But check it out. It's 2-player only, kind of like Jaipur. That's another one that we've been playing a little bit lately. But Spirits of the Wild's a 2-player game. Really great game design, and usually comes right down to the end. You're adding up the points, and it's pretty close. So I really well balanced. I think it's a lot of fun. Spirits of the Wild, Jaipur. Those are what's on my table right now. We just played a bunch. We went out of town this weekend with some friends and ran into some rain, so we all brought some games with us, and we played have the most fun playing a Kickstarter game that I backed a couple of years ago called Earworm. I don't know if you saw that one on Kickstarter, but
Yeah, I saw it. I didn't back it, but I do remember it being out.
we didn't play by the rules or however they designed the game, but it's just all these cards with all these songs that everybody knows from the radio. There's, golden oldies, and there's songs from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000 current songs. And the game is you have to sing the song, and then other people have to guess what you're singing, but you can't use any words. So you don't get to do 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton and say, working 9 to 5. You just have to do it with no words. So you da, 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 blah, 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 blah. So everybody's doing that, and some people are just horrible. They have horrible tone, and it's just awful.
It sounds like a great game to bust out about 3 drinks in.
That's exactly what it is, and we just laughed and laughed and laughed. It's just so much fun. So many great games out there.
We were on vacation last week, and so obviously packed some games to go along with us. I took a lot of the Mint 10 games.
Yeah, it's good to travel.
So I took all 5 of them, and we only got to play 2 of them, but we played them multiple times each. So there's a lot of replayability in those little.
Yeah,
they cram a lot into that little Altoids box. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's right.
So how do you pronounce Klaus Teuber's The Settlers of?
Oh, I would definitely say Catan for sure, without a doubt. I think
right.
I know some Catan, I suppose, is the alternative pronunciation. Is that what you're going to suggest?
That's the wrong one.
I think Catan is just a very American sound. I don't think any other society in the world has the sound in their language other than American English. You don't hear that in British English or Australian anyway. And I don't imagine that being, if it was like Catan, Alabama, then okay, Catan, Alabama. I can see that, but I just visualize that Catan being somewhere a little more, fancy, regal. It's somewhere in mythical or Europe somewhere, in the England or Ireland or fantasy Switzerland or something. So definitely Catan. Maybe it's in France, not France, but France. Catan, France. I don't know where it is. Definitely Catan.
Yeah, it's a good explanation. I'm going to just keep that explanation.
All right, you can use that.
Thank you. So being a principal at a school, do you ever, I know we've talked before where you don't necessarily board game at lunch, but you've used board games with your students to kind of work with them, help them, calm them down, redirect their focus or whatever.
Sure, yeah. At elementary school, I guarantee no one's playing playing board games at lunch, because at elementary school, you're lucky if you even get a lunch. I mean, it never stops. There's no break. For teachers, they don't even get a chance to go to the bathroom during the day hardly. So they definitely don't have time to sit down and play a board game at lunch for fun. However, sometimes we do. I do use as a principal. I have some students who, they need some incentive. They need something to kind of keep them focused, a little extra attention to, keep things positive for them. So I do have some kids who, in fact, we have several who, as a reward, once if they earn enough points or they've, met their goal for whatever it is, whether it's reading, it's usually a behavioral goal though. You can go to the principal's office and play a game with Mr. Wills, or you can, or it doesn't have to be me, play a game with the teacher or whoever it is. But it is a great incentive because back in the old days when I was a kid, they'd probably say, okay, come to do good and we'll give you some candy or something. Or man, when I started teaching, probably in the mid '90s, I mean, we'd let the kids go to the soda machine and buy a soda and drink a soda at school. Oh, well, that's just. I mean, if you mentioned that now, you'd be thrown right out of the. You can't do that, but so we're trying to find always incentives that, first of all, aren't food and they aren't drink, they aren't loaded with sugar, which many of the incentives always have been for kids, in history. But trying to do things, first of all, that are relational, that helps build relationship between the teacher and the child, or the principal and the child, or relations between students where they can bring. Oftentimes, we don't just say, okay, you get to go to the principal's office, but you get to go to the principal's office and play a game and bring a friend or bring two friends. So it's all about building relationships, and that's what games are so good at. First of all, they're great at teaching some strategic thinking and good thought process, thinking ahead. If we could get more humans to learn how to think about 2 steps ahead rather than just reacting in the moment or spouting off your opinion before thinking, I think we would be a more successful society. That's for sure. So enjoy helping kids learn how to think, and also just that relationship component. And best of all, it's fun, right? So kids like to play games. So yeah, I enjoy doing that with kids. It's always hard then trying to find the faster games. Well, like what can we play in 10 minutes or less, right? So those are and sometimes we just play a part of a game. Uno's good for that. We can always whip through a Uno game pretty quick. I've actually used my game, the Dice Fight Chicken Edition. I've got that sitting in my office. Kids, of course, always ask, what's that chicken bucket there for? And we'll get that out. We don't play the full game, but each person gets, 4 or 5 chickens and 5 or 6 cards, and we just go from there and play a little quick version. So a lot of game modification along the way, but it's fun. What's really fun, Adam, also is when you start to see kids design their own games. That's like my favorite thing in the world. And at our school, we're really focusing a lot on project-based learning and really trying to get kids doing things that are meaningful and relevant to their lives, things that are inspiring and motivating to them, rather than just sitting there filling out a bunch of worksheets all day or doing traditional work. And so a few kids, when they're project time, have decided to develop their own game. And oh my gosh, when that happens, I just light up and I'm like, oh, let me in, let's go, come on, let me teach you a few things. Let's talk about it. Let me help you think of some things to consider as you're doing.
You don't want to go that route. It's way too expensive. You want to go this way. It's way cheaper.
Yeah.
Custom dice? Are you crazy?
Yeah. Well, we don't even get that far into it. I just love when kids come up with something on their own and then they're just so proud of it at the end. And game design is just, I love it anytime I see kids getting involved with that. So much learning can take place playing games and also especially designing games, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, my son's really big about, he's got a whole notebook of ideas and stuff that he's been playing with. And he and I are working on one together right now that kind of hit us while walking our dog about dog walking. And like a pick up and deliver style game.
Oh, there you go.
And it started off as this really like high concept that got way too deep. And I'm like, whoa. Let's step this thing back a few steps here. So we're kind of in the middle of that. We had to kind of put it on hold for right now, but he's been working on another one. I'm not even sure what it is, but
I love it. I love to hear that he's doing that. That is so good for kids. Such great ways to stretch their thinking in new ways. And I've met your son. He's a thinker. He's a maker. He's a designer. I mean, he's a cool kid. So.
Oh yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he played Dice Fight with us at one of the game conventions or the
locally crafted game fairs.
Yeah, the game fair. That's what it was. Yeah.
And that's been a lot of fun. That's one neat thing about our game design group is having that opportunity now and then to get together and find a way to sell our games and put them out there for people to come and see. And I think gaming people in St. Louis area kind of get a kick out of that.
No, I do too. We've had pretty decent success there. My company has. I know your company has, and I like to try to get but we're so far out west. I'd like to try to get one kind of more down in the city.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that.
Inside 270.
Yeah, once we get once COVID really goes back down where we hope it'll go back down, then we can start looking at some more venues for that group because that's a lot of fun to get local designers together, have a little marketplace, and let people come. I don't even care if they buy my game, just come and sit down and play, and you get the feedback, and you get to talk about game design, and it's just fun to be around people, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, my son, when he decides he wants to design a new game, he comes upstairs to where all the board game books are, and he likes to grab my copy of the Building Blocks of Tabletop Game Design, flip through a couple different things. He's like, I'm gonna go make a game about, and then he's like, flips it open. He's like, Hidden Control, and I'm like, how do you? And he's like, Dad, what do you think about this? I mean, I don't even know what you're talking about, man. I haven't read that section yet, buddy. And I'm like, what is Hidden Control? And but. So
Well,
he'll pick something random like that and try to center a game around it, and I'm like, maybe you're onto something.
he's going to be way ahead of us pretty soon, Adam.
Let's hope. Maybe he'll have the next big scythe or something.
That'd be great.
Oh man. So Aaron, if we're playing a game and they have colors, what color do you gravitate towards?
Oh yeah, I'd go black for sure if it's available.
Which is funny because black's not even in your game.
I know. It's not in mine, but truthfully, it's not in most games either. But that's definitely my favorite color. So I would get that for sure. If not, I have a hard time. Beyond that, it's not my favorite color. I have a hard time remembering. Okay, which guy am I out there on the board or whatever? So I usually would then go with some sort of a cue. Like if I'm wearing a blue shirt that day, I was like, oh, let me get the blue one. That'll be my way I can remember which guy is mine out there because I always forget what.
I've never had anybody tell me they pick their color based on their clothing. That's a good one.
Or I just need some kind of cue to remind me which one's going to be mine. So, but
Right.
but the problem is I'm usually wearing a black shirt, I guess. So then if there's not black, I don't know.
I know when I play Catan, I'm like, when I'm not red, I play as if I still am. I mean, if you're playing as red, I'm playing as you, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not red this game. All that trading and working I just did is worthless. I'm white this turn. What the heck, Oh man. So, what is your go-to 60-minute game?
That's a tough one because we usually do play family games. Most of them aren't 60 minutes, so it's hard for me to come up with a 60-minute game. I played Wingspan a few times lately, and that's more than 60 minutes, but that'd be my go-to longer game. It takes more than 60 minutes anyway.
I mean, it does tend to gravitate towards that 90-minute mark.
I will tell you another fun game I mentioned earlier. I got some games as a gift that I thought, these all came out of the bargain aisle or whatever. There's a game called When I Dream. Have you ever played that game? When I Dream. It was one that I just left it on the shelf forever. I'm like, what is this? I've never heard of this. I'm not playing this. So finally, we just opened it up, and it was a riot. It was so much fun. And we probably played it for about 60 minutes, but it's a game where you're giving word clues to someone who's wearing a blindfold mask. So there's asleep and dreaming, and so there's a word on the kind of like code names where you're trying to get them to guess that word. Let's say it's whatever computer. So, but some of the clue givers are trying to get them to guess the word, and other clue givers are trying to throw them off track. And then there's other clue givers who are in the middle, and they want it to be like balanced. Like I want them to get half of them right and half of them wrong, so you never know if. So they're giving all these one-word clues, and the person with the blindfold has to try to decipher, okay, what's on that card there, because they keep hearing clues. And at some point they guess, and it's almost like they're dreaming. You know how your dreams kind of go all over the place and they don't make sense, and all of a sudden there's a leprechaun, and then there's a sandwich, but it was a really fun game. When I Dream. So there you go. Put that one down if you need a 45-minute game, maybe. When I Dream.
Oh, that's hilarious. No, any game that comes to blindfold, automatically you guys start thinking, ooh.
Oh, yeah. There's always someone who says, I'm not doing that. I'm not wearing the blindfold. All right, well, just turn around or something. But it's kind of fun. That other one, that Earworm game that I mentioned earlier from Kickstarter, I don't know if there's still any way to get that or not. If that's going into publication, but we have a good time with that. All those different song titles. That's just a good time for a kind of a party game for sure.
No, I remember seeing it on Kickstarter, and I I tend to go in waves where I back a whole lot and then I back nothing, and then I back a whole lot and then I back nothing.
I do the exact same thing, Adam, and that was in part of my whole lot way, because I haven't backed now for quite a while, other than Ben's game Mechanical Beast. Of course, I bought that one from our game.
Yeah, I don't even want to tell you how many I back lately. So I just kind of, yeah, no, honey, that's one I got for free. I have to review it. Yeah,
You can tell us how many you bought. Just don't tell your wife how many you bought.
yeah. She has another Kickstarter login, so kind of.
You need to make
So
you need to make a second login, an alternate login, and you can just do one or two on that and give her that one. So yeah, just look at my record, and then you really have the other login
yeah,
with a different name, right? Yeah.
the real
The
login.
real login. I'll
So
tell you another game I like to play is one called Fences. Have you heard of it? It's a good game, and that was one of my favorite purchases. So we get that out and play that. We always have a good time with that one.
Well, thank you. No, I like it. We're gearing up for 2 more Kickstarters, probably, hopefully, both of them this year, and then next year I think we'll go for the expansion pack again with Fences,
Okay, good.
the ranch edition here. So
All right.
we'll go back after it.
Okay, I'll back it again.
Hopefully we can get more this time. It's Kickstarter is a finicky thing, and
Oh my goodness, yes.
I think where we learned a lot from Fences the first time, to where we canceled it and then came back. And then of course we had a successful Kickstarter. We're like, we know what we're doing, and we had no idea what we were doing when it came to um, an expansion.
Yeah.
An expansion's a whole different thing than a base game. And so we again canceled it and took a step back, and now we're working on publishing somebody else's game and publishing one of our own designs as well. So
That's great. Good luck,
yeah,
and you know I'll be there to back you. So as soon as you're
I
ready,
know.
I'm ready.
I can't wait. I'm excited for both of them. They're completely opposite ends of the spectrum, but we'll see. We'll see.
Good. Can't wait.
me either. I'm excited. I got this guy who's going to help me shoot a video, I think.
You do.
Yeah.
Okay.
His name's Aaron. What Wills? Aaron Wills.
Oh, actually, I've heard he's not that good.
Man, if you watched our videos, they're not great at all. Your videos are so much better, so much cleaner than ours.
Nothing like the real polished ones out there. But all right, I'll be happy to help you. It'll be fun.
Yeah, man, it'll be great. It'll be fun. It'll be a good weekend. By the time we're done, we'll be throwing stuff at each other. We won't even talk to each other for a month.
I'm a pretty bossy director, so watch out for that.
You'll be backing out of hate. Oh, I'm gonna back it just so I can sound off in the comments.
I don't think so.
So a 30-minute game, more in your wheelhouse.
30-minute game. These are where all my games are in that game. So, I honestly, Sushi Go is probably one of my favorite games. That might be one of the more modern games that once I played that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. And I don't even like sushi. I don't like sushi. I don't mind sushi, but I don't know sushi. I'm not a sushi. So I don't know. I didn't know any of the terminology. I didn't know any of the words. I didn't know what any of the pictures mean. So if you haven't played Sushi Go, it doesn't have anything to do with sushi. So don't worry. I mean, it does, but you don't need to have any knowledge of that.
No prior sushi knowledge required.
No, not at all. But the design of that game is so brilliant. I'm always looking at everything through the educator lens also. And one thing that we're always trying to increase in classrooms and in learning is simultaneous engagement. Like, you want all the kids to be engaged all the time. And that's what really jumps out with me at Sushi Go is it's complete simultaneous engagement throughout the entire game. It's always your turn and it's always my turn at the same time. You're never saying whose turn is it. It's always everyone's turn. Everyone's engaged. You're looking through the stack, and as soon as you're done, you pass it. And everyone else is looking through the stack. So great player interaction, great simultaneous engagement. And that's that's the little element that I tried to pull out of Sushi Go to put into my Dice Fight game is that simultaneous engagement, as you know, because you've played the game. You don't wait for your turn. It's always everybody's turn. You're always thinking. You're always uh, considering that next move. Do I want to play a card? Do I not want to play a card? You know, you don't have to wait for your turn. So that's part of the educator in me. I love to find those elements that's what really makes something good, or those kind of those psychological things that are going on in the game that maybe the players don't even realize. But the reason we're having fun now is because we're all engaged. I'm not sitting here just waiting for my turn. It's like
Sure.
it's like in the classroom back in my day. The teacher stands up in front and everybody sits there, and the teacher asks a question. Everybody raise their hand. One person then gets called on to answer the question. Nobody else does. Then maybe the next person gets called on. So two people get to participate. Everyone else just sits there and thinks and listens and doesn't participate. These days in a classroom, we would say, hey, here's a question. And then we say, turn and talk to your neighbor about what you think the answer to that question. Now everyone is participating. Everyone is sharing their answers. So there's a lot of just a lot of evolution of just how we teach, how we engage with each other that we know about from education that we can apply to game design, and to keep more people engaged the whole time. I see that as a good thing. So that's something I've aimed for in my games. All of the games I've designed have simultaneous engagement. Everybody's it's always your turn.
No, I love that because my first real experience with that kind of game was Seven Wonders.
Yeah.
Because it is very similar to Sushi Go, card drafting. Right. You sort through, pick out what you want, then pass it. And I remember the first time I played it, I'm like, well, who goes? Like, well, no, we all go.
We all go. You're right.
Yeah. And then once you pick, then you wait. And then everybody flips their card at once. You kind of see what happened. And then you look at the next stack and you go. And I was like, whoa, simultaneous play. That's crazy.
Yep, it's a whole new idea. Now, some people don't like that, or some people don't like the real-time games, but I just found a Facebook group online for only real-time games. And so people are talking about those. And I'm like, I'm going to join that group for sure because that's my game. So,
real-time games. Oh, no.
People, you don't like that?
I've really only played Bomb Squad.
Okay, I have not played that one.
And so it's kind of like Hanabi, only you're playing Hanabi in real time. So you have a bomb that you're trying to defuse, but your hands are out, so you don't see your cards. And then you give Hanabi-like clues of this and this is yellow, this is a door unlock, and you're trying to program this robot, and you're trying to lay him down. And then you flip it over and the robot runs through his thing, and then you got to draw back up. You got to charge the robot. And all the whole time, you've only got like 7 minutes. And it's like, how am I supposed to get all the way through here, defuse the bomb, free the hostages, open doors? All, that was not my favorite game.
Well, everybody's got their own flavors that they like, right? And I think that's what is neat about game design is there will be someone who will like your game, and there are just as many haters of, say, roll and writes as there are lovers of roll and writes, or even the short family games. A lot of people hate short family games. They want something strategic and deep and
meaty,
complex and thinky.
Yeah.
You know what? There's some people who don't want any of that and get totally turned off. So that's a neat thing about our our hobby is that there's so many a niche within the niche, right? And
sure.
There's something for everybody. And that's good. All right, 30-minute games. I've got Quicks, Code Names.
Quicks, love Quicks.
Jaipur, I think, is a brilliant design for 2 players. So again, I've mentioned Spirits of the Wild. That's another 2-player game that I really like. And I'm going to throw Fences in there again, Adam. I'm sorry, it's coming out again, but it's a good game. Okay, here's another one we found that I got in that stack of games that I thought was from the discount clearance aisle. That turned out to be a fun game. It's called The Wizard Always Wins. Have you ever heard of that game?
No.
I told you, I thought this is some I picked up off the clearance aisle. It's actually it's a fun game. The Wizard Always Wins. It's about 30 minutes, family game, a little bit of strategy though. And it's a good game, so check that one out too. I mean, your list's getting longer and longer there. Sorry.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So, a guilty pleasure or hidden gem game. I mean,
Uh,
other than Wizards Always Win, When I Dream, and
yes,
Spirits of the Wild.
I already dropped them in there for you. Another hidden gem is Fences. I've mentioned that a couple times though, so that's a good one too. Other than that, I don't know if I have many hidden gems. This earworm game, I've mentioned that a few
Yeah,
times. I
yeah.
think that to me, that's a hidden gem. I've never once played it by the rules that the poor designer designed. We just get the cards out and have fun with it in lots of different ways. So I'm kind of a game hacker too. You know, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just go the fun way, house rules and whatever's fun. We're in it for the good time. So. What those would be my guilty. Those would be my more
Well,
unknown sleeper games. Yeah.
yeah, no pun intended on the When I Dream being a sleeper game.
Definitely a sleeper.
Oh, that's a bad dad joke right there. All right, so
Pretty good dad joke, really.
so we've already kind of talked that you are a Kickstarter backer. Not, are you a creator yet?
I am not, and I'd like to think I'm smart enough to not be. And what I mean by that is, I very much understand. There's a huge, and you know this, Adam. You've been successful with Kickstarter, but you would know that if you're running a Kickstarter, you're not a game designer anymore. You're now running a business. And to run a business and marketing and accounting and bookkeeping and market tracking of who your people are and what your email, you're running a business. And it's not easy to run a business. And you'd better make sure you got a lot of time to do that, because I don't have to tell you, but to others out there thinking, oh yeah, I'll just run a Kickstarter. I've seen many people who just think they're going to do that. I'm like, I don't think you're respecting the process enough.
Yeah.
I'd like to think I'm wise enough to know what it takes to do that, and that I'm not there yet.
Well, I'll tell you, just today as I was playing on Kickstarter, like I should not be allowed to do, I saw a couple that, and one that ended a couple weeks ago as well. Just they don't understand Kickstarter is there's a formula, and there are windows that you have to be within. You don't have to be in the middle, but you have to be somewhere in that window. And this one from a couple weeks ago just had like some astronomically high goal, and he tried to justify it, but it's like, dude, you're not going to get $25,000 as a first time creator on a game of this caliber. No offense to your game, you're not going to get it. And then this other one that I was looking at today, they're in the middle of their campaign, but they're running a 60-day campaign. And I'm like,
Didn't do your homework.
yeah, you didn't do your homework. That
Right.
shows. And for a lot of people that go to Kickstarter all the time, like you, like me, you see a 60-day campaign for a $5,000 goal. You're thinking these yokels don't know what they're doing,
Didn't do their homework. Right.
and you're not. Yeah, you'll be lucky to see your game, and
Right.
but yeah, it's definitely a formula that you've got to respect, and that's where we're at with our newest, or like our next Kickstarter is trying to balance cost to us versus cost to the backer versus the goal, and because you also want to have like a $1,500 goal for a bigger game, because then it's like, these guys, do they know what they're doing? And you've got to work within, like I said, within that window of believability and trustworthiness. Do these guys know what they're doing to bring this game to life?
Yep. I agree. Listen to everything you just said. Has nothing to do with game design.
No.
It's all about running a business. So as someone's going to jump into Kickstarter, people say, "Oh yeah, this is a really fun game. You should kickstart it." I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about, because you have no idea how difficult that is. And I think we've all backed. So I've got one that I've backed because I knew the designer. Most of the games I've backed, I have not actually bought the game. Now yours, Fences. I have Mechanical Beast. I bought that, and Earworm. I want to say those are the only three games that I've backed where I actually bought the game. I often just back at the $5 level, $10 level, because I don't want a cluttered shelf full of games that I'm never going to play. Take that back. I have backed one or two others I can think of as I think of my cluttered shelf. I do love to just support creators. I love
Yeah.
when people are design thinkers. I love when they're makers. I love when they have their own passion projects and they're trying to take it in, especially if it's someone I've worked with, someone I've met. But the game that I've recently backed that has gone almost nowhere so far. Another game designer who I met, kind of built a relationship. Hey, I want to support you, so I back the game. So I get all the updates, even though I'm not expecting the game. And it's just been delay after delay after delay after delay for
Yeah.
years and years. And I just think, I just my heart goes out to them, because it's just not coming together. And all these, because it funded, it was a successful Kickstarter, but so far it's really not yet a successful
Well,
Kickstarter.
that's why I like to back at the print and play level.
Yeah,
Like it's
right.
usually it's anywhere from $2 or $3 to maybe 8 or 9.
Yeah.
I think the most I ever paid for a print and play was $10, and it's because I really wanted the game, and I did not want to pay for the full production. It was like $10. It was a roll and write too. It was $10 for the roll and write print and play, but to get it like in a pad form, and then it came in. It was a pad that came in a box. That came with all of this and that, and I'm like, but I don't need that. I just need I just need the papers,
Just need the
and I've
sheet.
got
Yeah.
yeah. I need the sheets. I need the rules. I don't need like this extra thick pad and blah blah blah. And it was like $40 or $35. I'm like, I can't
Yeah.
justify that, but I spent $10 on that roll and write, which I've also not printed off or played yet. So doing good with that $10. But yeah, I like to back at the print and play level. That way, I quote unquote have the game. So if I ever want to go play it, I can. I'm with you. I try to back a lot at that level so that I don't end up with a cluttered shelf. I end up with a cluttered hard drive instead.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I can buy another hard drive.
you're supporting creators, you're supporting designers, you're supporting independent people trying to make their dream come true, and that's what I like to do: is support the people even more so than support the game. So it is a neat avenue to be able to take a product. So I'm always cheering for the makers of the world.
So Dice Fight Chicken Edition. We had a conversation a few months ago where it was the third most played game in my app.
I Yeah, I was like floored by that and honored by that, and I thought, wait a minute, are you serious? And sure enough, you kind of proved that it was. So
Yeah.
I think you might be the biggest fan of the game out there. I don't know. So
So I have some bad news.
oh
It has been passed
no, oh
by now here's what's even funnier. The game that has passed Dice Fight Chicken Edition is Millborn, the game from like 1954.
that's okay. I'm a fan of the classics. I told you that
Oh
earlier.
man! So we bought that game, and as we kept playing it, and my wife plays it, and my son plays it, we just keep playing it, and I was like, I wonder where it is. And I looked at, it, I'm like, oh, it is 2 plays away from passing Dice Fight, and so now Millborn is now third
Number
and
three, I got
closing.
number four.
Yeah, and it's closing
Um,
in though. It's closing in on number 2 and number 1, which probably won't see any playtime anytime soon.
okay.
So Dice Fight, the only reason why it's falling is because we've also been playing 16 chickens Dice Fight to the
Okay.
death. And
Well,
so if you add them together,
still up
they're
there.
probably they're
Still up there.
they're
Okay.
still third.
All right. I'll take that. That's good. Well,
So
I appreciate the support. I just love that you and your son like to play the
oh,
game. I mean, to me, that's the
so
win right
much,
there. So
so
that's
much.
all that matters to me is it's putting a smile on somebody's face somewhere. So I've sold about I self-published that and sold
Yeah.
about I think I bought you have to order fried chicken carryout buckets in quantities of like 216 or something like that. So I think I had 200 buckets, over 200 buckets at one point. I'm down to like 20 buckets left. So I've sold somewhere between 150 games, somewhere around there, 150 to 175 copies of the game, just self-published on my own. So it's been a lot of
No.
fun. It's fun to get to meet people and kind of sell them in person that way. Still looking for a publisher and have had a couple of good leads, but nothing yet. Kind of waiting for conventions to pop back up. Hopefully, a Geekway,
Absolutely.
and I just like to go to a convention and just sit there with the table and invite people to play. And you never know when the right person's going to come along who knows somebody, right?
Yeah. So the game has a ton of different chickens, uh,
80,
80 different chickens, and
80
they're
different
all
chickens.
unique.
Yes, they are.
They all have their own name, their own look, and their own backstory.
Own little bio, yep. Oh yeah, they become my best friends. They become my best friends. I know them all by name, and I mean we're just real pals.
Yeah, my son loves Biscuit. That's his
Oh yeah,
favorite.
Biscuit the hockey player. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
And
that's
so
good.
he even has the Biscuit necklace. And he found it after I did the
All
podcast
right, good.
episode. He went downstairs and found it, so he knows where it is.
That's fun.
But the artwork on in the game is so cute and so enjoyable.
It is good. A fun story about that is, when I just created this game for the first time, I did not have a budget of any kind, so you just, what it's like when you start to create a game, and then it starts growing a little more, and so I thought I can't afford like an artist, and I also can't draw well enough. I can do some graphic design and that, but I couldn't draw characters, so I actually hired one of my former elementary school students, who, when I first met her, she was in second grade. And all of a sudden she was a senior in high school,
It's
and
awesome.
winning all these art awards and scholarships. And I mean, she was like, rock
Oh
star
my.
artist. I'm like, hey, Ronnie Beltman is her name. Watch her, she's gonna be a star someday. And so I said, hey, would you mind, how much would you charge to draw me some chickens? And so
80
we met a
chickens.
couple we met a couple times, and he said, "Oh, Mr. Wills, I'll do that for free, for you." And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to do that for." So anyway, I paid her some money, and she drew a bunch of chickens and cards and all kinds of graphics for me, and so it was kind of fun to put that together with her. So when you say you like the art and the graphics,
Oh, it's so great.
that's an 18-year-old kid who did that. I was just
It's
so proud of
amazing.
her. It's fun to work with her.
No, that's amazing. And they're all great. I just when you told me that story, I'm like, gosh, I want to make sure we mention that in the podcast episode because the artwork is great. It fits the theme so well. And I mean, like I said, Edward, my son, loves to go on the website and read the bios over and over again. And he picks them based on the bio of the day or whatever. Maybe all the ones are different colors, so he gets the green one and the blue one, and or ones that have hats or glasses or
Yeah,
whatever. He picks some theme,
yeah,
and because to him, building the team is very important, which is always
that's
funny because
it.
the chickens
Definitely is.
themselves have no
Nope.
difference.
No, no. One of our Mark Selmeyer, one of our game design buddies, he's always telling me, Aaron, you've got to make these different chickens have certain different qualities or powers or whatever. I'm like, Mark, I know little kids and they don't care about that. They're gonna like the hats and they're gonna like the scarf or whatever it
No,
is.
they don't care.
They don't care, but I know way more about children than I do about game design. So when I design games, it's usually for the family market. Although I do find that like young adults like the game even more so than kids. Like teenagers and college age kids, man, they just have a blast because it's kind of a take. It's got a little take that in
Yeah.
it, and they just start slapping cards on each other and having a really fun time. But
Well, yeah, it
the
was
game
like,
design is about the marketing. It's not just the game design. It's how are you going to market this? How are you going to sell it? How are you going to
yeah,
get people to like this? And that's what
yeah.
I know what little kids like, and that's one thing is character.
I know and I know that when Edward and I were playing it, and then we taught my wife how to play it. She just started just destroying us because she would sit on her cards,
Hmm.
and I'm like, well, that's not nearly as much fun as
It's fun for
She's
her
like,
to win, though.
well, I'm not competitive. I'm not playing to win. I'm like, but you're not having like fun, like.
Until she wins at the end, right? Then
Yeah.
maybe it was more fun than you thought.
Oh man, yeah, it is a great game. If people want to get a copy of your game, how can they order one? Do you have any left?
Well, as I said,
Oh, you
I'm
said you had a few.
running low on buckets, so I need to
Uh oh.
figure out what I'm going to do at some point. If I'm going to order another, uh, set of self published parts, or I really would like to try to get a publisher who could take it and get it out there because people do have fun with it, and I want to get it out there for people. So otherwise, I do have a website, dicefight.net, if they want to just check that out and meet the chickens on a more
Yeah. So
personal level.
if nothing else, just go read the bios of the chickens.
So dicefight.net is the website, but people can email me through there, and sometimes I have a copy or two I can send if it's just one or two. But if somebody needs 10 or something like that, I'm going to be out of luck a little bit. But so just kind of ran out of inventory, but trying to figure out what next steps are. My problem is I'm such a maker. I just kind of a creative, and so my current project, I just wrote a children's book, and I'm hired an illustrator for
What?
that. So that's it's kind of taking all my time and
Wow.
energies going into that one right now. So
Well, that's incredible, Aaron. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So it's mostly for classroom use. Help kids learn the ABCs and the letters and be able to identify the letters in preschool and kindergarten as they're kind of at that developmental stage. But it's a lot of fun too. It's kind of a game, as they read through it. They kind of make the kids make a little game out of the letters, and so I guess we're always game designing, aren't we?
Well, I've got a 2.5-year-old, so
All right, I'll have to get you a copy of the book.
yeah,
Yeah.
she'd love it.
All right.
She's she's uh she's gonna be a gamer too.
I have no doubt
Her-
about that. In that family, there's almost
yeah.
no chance of not being one.
Well, so I told this story before, but when we play a game, so Edward and I have been playing a lot of cribbage, which sounds weird to say, but we've been playing a lot of the classics. We've been playing
That's
cribbage,
great. That's great.
and yeah, and so we have to give her her own deck, and so she has her own cards, and so she's playing along. We've also learned that the deck has to be a different color back. We accidentally had two blue decks, and that didn't work. But then she's really into rolling dice, and so she just takes my dice and just rolls them. And she has a dice tray I put together, and they land about 10% in the dice tray. The other 90% are all over the floor. And you always find the two you can't find in the middle of the night with your feet. It's usually the D4s, right?
Oh yeah, always the pointy ones.
But so she's already rolling dice. She likes the dice tower. She likes the dice tray. She likes the cards. I'm like, yes.
And can I just say, that's the way, Adam, just here's some about child development. Just let them play in their own way. Don't.
Yep.
I read a lot of Facebook posts of people saying, well, how can I get my kid into games? I'm trying to help them play this or this or that. You need to let them discover it. If you try to force it on them and say, here, I want you to do this, they're less likely to enjoy it. Let them I love what you're doing. If you're just letting them play with the dice, just let them play with the cards, let them play their own way, do their own thing. Get the chickens out of the bucket and just play with the chickens. Don't even get the cards or the dice out. Just let them explore the components, let them play, let them make up their own game. And you might, as a parent, think, oh, but I want to play some games. Come on, can't we play by the rules? Don't worry about that with little kids. Just let them explore and experience it in their own way. Kids are creative and they just want to play. Just let them play. Don't try to box them into a bunch of rules and procedures. Now, eventually, once they show interest, it's good to learn how to wait your turn. Those are really good skills that kids need to know. But I get a little discouraged when I do see parents trying to push games that aren't developmentally appropriate for kids just because they like, whatever it is, Axis and Allies. Please don't make your 6-year-old try to start playing that. That's just not, it's going to put them at the frustration level. And it's just let them play with things. Now, if they want to get out all the pieces of Axis and Allies and move them around the table and have them run around the board or something, that's fine. Go for that, but let them play in their own way. There are some great little Haba games, and
I've got a lot of Haba games.
Yeah, and I just found a fun one from Ravensburger called I think it's called Snails Pace Race. And all you do is you just roll the dice and move these snails across the board, and it just teaches kids how to wait your turn and how to roll dice and how to move a token. There's no winner or loser almost. It's just all you try to do is try to guess which snail is going to win. And so then you roll, and if it's a blue, then the blue one goes up one. Then you roll again, and if it's the pink one goes up one. And you just try to guess as the game goes, who do you think's going to win? But it just teaches, those are things that an adult is going to say, oh, this is boring. This isn't a game. They're not learning how to think or make a decision. No, but they're learning those beginning skills of just how to take turns, how to roll dice, how to identify the colors, how to match the colors. That's where a lot of children are developmentally. So let them be there and don't try to rush them and push them up. So I love to hear what you're doing with your daughter and just letting them play with the components and be around games.
Well, she's definitely around games.
She is. You don't need to worry. She's going to pick it up and she's going to be on the team pretty soon.
Yeah, we played Hoot Owl Hoot together, and she like she got the game to an extent about flipping it over, and then whatever color comes up, you got to move an owl to that color. I'm like, I don't care which owl you move to that color. The fact that the red circle came up and you moved an owl to the next to a red circle.
Yeah, exactly. That's very developmentally appropriate and good for her. And she's going to have success with that. She's not going to get frustrated as soon as parents try to start telling your kid, no, you're not playing it right. No, don't do it that way. Now it just becomes frustrational for the kids. And now they're going to just be turned off. Like, I don't want to do this. This isn't fun for me. This is frustrating for me. So sounds like you've got a great approach with your kids. And no wonder they're turning out to be such great gamers. Boy, your son's probably passing both of us up.
No, it won't be long for sure. I've been playing him in chess, and my losing streak is just getting it. I'm good to beat him about once every 3 games. So
Well, good for him.
yeah, he's getting that game down pat.
Yeah.
Laird, I'd like to thank you for coming on today. I've had a great time chatting with you. I can't wait to get back together with you in person.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. What a treat to get to be on your podcast. I enjoy listening to it, and I think you're doing a great job with it. So I wish you continued success with the podcast. I know you've got a bunch of things lined up, and I look forward to tuning in.
All right. Well, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the nice words. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, it's dicefight.net.
Check it out now.
Absolutely check it out. Read the bios. And as usual, if you want to reach out to me, it's facebook.com/eatlunchandboardgame, or you can email me at eatlunchandboardgame@gmail.com. And remember, board games build bridges.
Stay in tune with all things sports around Indiana and the nation with the Crash Course Podcast. Each week, we tackle the big storylines from the world of the Colts, Pacers, and the Indiana college scene, while also keeping a pulse on the nation. We record live weekly at twitch.tv/3C Media and can be found on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts can be heard, you can catch the Crash Course Podcast.
When you're gaming, why not be comfy? Go over to supportplayer.org. Click on the cards, pieces, and dice to get some merch. These t-shirts are some of the most comfortable I have ever worn. That's supportplayer.org, and there's a link on eatlunchandboardgame.com.